My sister stole my fiancé, so I took her soulmate. Now she is losing it. She destroyed my wedding. I destroyed her life. This is perfect karma. Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Imagine losing your entire future just because your sister couldn't get over a one-night stand. My younger sister, Chloe, has been leaning on the same pathetic excuse since she reached adulthood. Because she claims she can't be with her soulmate, she feels entitled to sabotage every relationship around her. This isn't just some harmless obsession with a former flame. It is a calculated effort to ensure that if she is unhappy, everyone else must suffer too, all while she hides behind her. Tragic legend of lost love. The man in question was some guy named Leo she met at a university mixer years ago. They had a single encounter. He never followed up, and yet that became her justification for being a toxic person. It began with her lifelong friend, Sarah. One weekend, Chloe stayed at Sarah's place, and by the next morning, Sarah's partner was sending Chloe flirtatious messages. When Sarah caught them together in her own room, Chloe actually had the nerve to say that Sarah couldn't possibly understand the pain of losing a twin flame. Sarah cut her off forever that day. Then there was our cousin's engagement celebration. Chloe turned up in an outfit that cost more than my car, got completely wasted, and cornered the groom-to-be. He later admitted she kept insisting he reminded her of someone irreplaceable. Luckily, he pushed her away and told his fiancé immediately. But Chloe just sobbed to our parents about how seeing happy people triggered her emotional wounds. My mother actually bought her a luxury retreat to help her recover. By the time I started dating Mark, I knew how she operated. I kept him far away from family gatherings, blocked Chloe from my social media, and convinced him that my sister was dealing with issues and needed distance. It actually worked for 2 years. We got engaged last year and planned a small, intimate ceremony for our closest circle. I made a single mistake, though. I brought it up during my father's birthday dinner. Chloe's expression shifted instantly, looking like she'd just won the lottery. She hugged me and said she was thrilled for us, then immediately asked when she could finally meet him. A week later, Mark showed me his messages while laughing. He told me my sister had tracked him down through a burner account and sent a string of desperate notes. We sat together mocking her thirst for attention, and he vowed to ignore her. However, 3 weeks before our big day, I came down with a severe fever. Mark was supposed to be at a sports event with his brother, but a friend who lived near Chloe's building messaged me in confusion. She asked why I was at my sister's place since she saw Mark's car in the visitor parking. My blood turned to ice. I drove there despite my illness and used the emergency key Chloe had given me. I found them on her sofa, her head resting on him and his hands in her hair, both in a state of undress. She looked at me with immediate crocodile tears and whispered that she was so sorry. But he just reminded her so much of Leo. I walked out right then, and he didn't even bother to follow me. That was the moment I decided she needed to understand the true meaning of loss. You see, Leo wasn't some ghost who vanished into thin air. We had actually been following each other on social media for a few years. We shared mutual acquaintances from college and occasionally liked each other's photos, though we never really spoke. He lived a few hours away, worked in sports medicine, and mostly posted about his dog. So, I sent him a direct message. I told him it sounded strange, but my sister had an obsession with him in the past and had just ruined my life, and I asked if he wanted to help me get even. He got back to me in minutes. He told me he remembered Chloe as the girl who once showed up at his mother's house uninvited and that he was definitely in. It turned out Chloe had tracked down his childhood home, lied to Leo's mother about being an old flame, and told a twisted story about how they were soulmates separated by fate. His poor mother fell for the act, invited her in for tea, and even took photos with her. Chloe then posted them online, calling the woman her future mother-in-law. Leo sent me all the evidence, including recordings of his mother apologizing for causing drama. I realized then that Chloe didn't know how to love anyone, she only knew how to claim them. But she didn't realize two things. I was no longer the sister who stayed silent, and Leo was more than willing to play along with my scheme. We orchestrated every detail of our plan. He agreed to visit me during the weekend of our big family brunch. I hadn't spoken a word to Chloe since I caught her with Mark, but I knew she'd be there. It was our father's birthday, and she never missed an opportunity to play the part of the perfect Grieving daughter in front of an audience. My plan was simple. I would show up with Leo, holding hands and laughing, living out the exact fantasy she had spent years constructing in her head. On Friday, I met Leo at the station. He was even more impressive in person, charismatic, genuine, and possessive of a natural warmth that drew people in. He was exactly the kind of man Chloe could never manipulate, and he knew it. During the drive, we synchronized our stories and gestures. On Saturday at 1 p.m., we pulled up to my parents' home. I stepped out feeling powerful in a new dress and high heels, a confident smile on my face. Leo took my hand, and we walked in looking like a couple deeply in love. Chloe was in the living room, performing for our uncle, but the moment she saw us, her voice died out. I announced to the entire room that I wanted everyone to meet Leo. The mention of his name hit her like a physical strike. She turned white, then a deep shade of red. Before forcing a shaky smile, she let out a strained laugh and commented on what a bizarre coincidence it was. Leo remained perfectly composed, greeting her politely, which immediately stripped away whatever control she was trying to maintain. She began to stammer. But I was already moving to the sofa with him, taking photos and posting stories. Every single one of my actions was a targeted strike against her vanity. During the meal, she desperately tried to engage him, bringing up fake memories from their college days that never actually happened. But Leo kept his eyes fixed on me the entire time, calling me his love and keeping his arm draped over my shoulder every time he showed me affection. Chloe's expression tightened as if she were swallowing broken glass. After the toast to our father, she finally broke. She locked herself in the bathroom, and I followed immediately. I pounded on the door until she opened it. She stood there with smeared mascara and a look of pure desperation. Asking what I wanted from her, I told her with fake concern that I just wanted to check on her, because seeing a soulmate in your sister's arms must be incredibly painful. She screamed that I was only doing this to cause her suffering. I looked her in the eyes and told her that she had sabotaged my wedding just because she couldn't stand my happiness. This wasn't cruelty, it was justice. Asterisk, she lost it then, punching the wall and screaming that he was hers first and that she felt the connection before anyone else. I told her firmly that she had seen him exactly once. He never wanted her, and she had invented a whole romance in her head just to justify being a monster to everyone around her. I told her she was going to sit there and watch him love me because, unlike her, I didn't have to beg for his attention. She collapsed onto the floor in a fit of loud sobbing. When our mother knocked to ask if everything was okay, I opened the door and walked out with my head held high. I returned to the living room and sat beside Leo. He kissed my forehead and whispered into my ear, asking if I was ready for her to lose her mind even further. I smiled and told him I had never been more ready. By the next morning, the fallout had already begun. My mother called me early, pleading for me to have empathy. She claimed Chloe had spent the entire night crying and was in a fragile state, and that I should have avoided such a provocation. I laughed without any humor and asked if she really thought bringing my boyfriend to a family event was a provocation, or if Chloe just couldn't handle not being the center of attention. My mother sighed as if I were the unreasonable one, telling me that my sister has a sensitive heart and attaches to people easily. I cut her off right there. I reminded her that her sensitive daughter had slept with my fiancé and destroyed my marriage, and yet she was worried about Chloe's feelings. I told her that while I was home alone with a fever, Chloe was lying on a couch with my man, and I wasn't going to let her flip the narrative this time. I told her we would talk another day and hung up. At that moment, I realized no one in my family was going to stand up for me. They all treated Chloe like a delicate piece of glass, forgetting that glass can also cut, but now those cuts were being inflicted on herself. On Monday, Leo was still in town, so I took him to brunch with my real friends, the ones who knew exactly what Chloe had been doing since high school. He was the star of the show, polite, charming, and clearly devoted to me. My friends were stunned, whispering that this was the most beautiful revenge they had ever seen. The highlight came that afternoon. Leo posted a photo of us hugging in a park with a simple caption about how love finds you when you least expect it. The comments started pouring in with heart emojis, but then Chloe appeared. She commented that it was disgusting and that he knew what he meant to her. Leo didn't ignore it. He replied with surgical precision. He told her they had hooked up one single time and she had followed him down the street the next day. He told her that isn't love, it's an obsession. The post exploded. People who had known Chloe for years started commenting that someone had finally said the truth and that karma was finally catching up to her. She went silent on the post but flooded my phone with voice notes screaming, crying, and accusing me of using him to ruin her life. I sent back one text telling her that I wasn't ruining anything. I was just showing her how to rebuild after being destroyed, something she never learned. Then, I blocked her, but I wasn't finished. On Thursday, she tried to play the victim one. Last time, she posted a selfie of her crying in dim lighting, with a caption about how hard it is to watch your sister steal the man you love while everyone applauds your pain. She got over 1,000 likes and people telling her to stay strong. Even some of our mutual acquaintances reposted it. The next morning, I went to my parents' house. My mother was shocked to see me, but I pushed past her. My father was in the living room, and Chloe came down the stairs looking like she was at a funeral, wearing a carefully crafted victim face. She asked sweetly if something happened. I told her that plenty had happened and that I was done with her manipulating everyone into thinking she was the casualty. I looked at my parents and asked them if they really thought her post was fair after she had betrayed me so deeply. My mother tried to calm me down, but I refused to listen. I told Chloe to her face that she had seduced my fiancé, stabbed me in the back, and expected to remain the family princess. I told her the tables had turned and the mask was off. Everyone could finally see who she really was, and no sad social media post would erase the evidence of her true character. I told them I was done being the forgotten daughter and that the stage belonged to me now. I walked out to the car where Leo was waiting with a coffee. He asked how it went, and I told him it was beautiful. She finally realized she had no power left. Getting my revenge felt better than I could have imagined, but the best part was that there was a second act to this drama. It started with an exclusive invitation to the opening of a new restaurant owned by my friend Julian. He's a well-known chef in the area. So the event was crawling with local influencers and social media cameras. Naturally, Chloe was obsessed with these kinds of scenes. Her whole life was a construction of fake appearances. She would take photos in designer mirrors pretending the clothes belonged to her, or order the most expensive dish on the menu just to post a photo before sending it back. It was all about the facade, but this time, she wasn't on the guest list. I was, and Leo was right there by my side. We made a grand entrance. The photographers at the door stopped us immediately. And the next day, we appeared on a city lifestyle page with a caption calling us the couple of the moment. It said that Leo and I stole the spotlight at the opening night. Chloe saw it, of course. She posted a vague story the next morning about how some people need fame to feel alive while she prefers depth. Depth from the girl who threw herself at my fiancé weeks before my wedding and was now sobbing online because a guy she barely knew chose me. Then came the wedding of our cousin Sophia. Chloe had always been tight with Sophia, so she probably expected her friend to take her side and ask me not to bring Leo. Instead, Sophia called me herself. She told me to please come and bring him along. She said everyone already knew what had happened and she had no more patience to play along with Chloe's delusions. She wanted Chloe to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her. At the wedding, Chloe was there alone, wearing a dress that was far too tight, with a frozen plastic smile. Pretending she couldn't see us, Leo kept his arm around my waist, kissing my cheek occasionally, and all she could do was watch from the sidelines. The most satisfying moment happened during the couple's first dance. Sophia pulled us onto the floor to dance near them. We were in the center of the room, spinning slowly, when Chloe tried to make her move. She approached Leo with that look she thought was irresistible and asked if they could talk. He didn't even hesitate. He let go of my hand, looked her dead in the eye, and told her with complete calmness that he was too busy loving her sister. Chloe froze in place. I took a breath and told her that for the first time in years, I was being truly loved, something she would never understand because she only knows how to chase attention. She backed away with tears in her eyes, tripped over her own hem, and fell. Nobody laughed. It was worse than that. Everyone simply ignored her. She fled the hall a few minutes later. And I just kept dancing, finally feeling like the winner. Few weeks later, I was invited onto a podcast about healing and new chapters. I didn't mention names, but I told the whole story. I spoke about the narcissistic sister, the cheating fiancé, the calculated payback, and the love I found in the middle of it all. The episode went viral. People from all over were messaging me, saying they saw themselves in my story. Chloe heard it too. She sent me a message asking if I really needed to expose myself for applause. I replied that it wasn't about exposure. It was about liberation. I told her I had lived in her theater for years, but now the story was mine and so was the stage. She never wrote back. I heard from others that Chloe was becoming a recluse. Brands she wanted to work with backed out. People started talking about her weird obsession with Leo. The reputation she built with filters and fake quotes was crumbling, and she did it to herself. Meanwhile, Leo became more than just a part of my revenge. He became my home. We started spending every night together, sometimes with his golden retriever sleeping between us like a loyal guardian. He officially asked me to be his girlfriend during a quiet night on the couch over pizza. He asked if it was too early or too late, and I laughed. Telling him we'd already been through more than most couples do in 20 years. We stopped talking about Chloe entirely. She vanished from our lives. She told people she would never forgive me for stealing her soulmate, but I didn't care anymore. I realized that the freedom I felt when I stopped needing her approval was the greatest gift of all. She didn't come to my birthday, and she ignored our mother's texts about Christmas. While she stayed bitter and isolated, I moved on. I visited Leo's hometown, met his mother properly this time, and helped him paint his new clinic. We built a life that was real and honest. One morning, while we were relaxing together, Leo asked if I still thought this was all just about revenge. I told him that maybe it started that way, but it ended up being the best thing I ever did for myself. Ironically, that's probably what hurt Chloe the most. She always wanted to be the star, but I found the real happiness she spent her life pretending to have. I was never the family favorite, but I was the only one who knew how to turn pain into power. Asterisk. 6 months later, I got a call from Mark. I didn't answer at first, but Leo told me I should close the loop. When I finally picked up, Mark sounded defeated and exhausted. He asked to meet. We went to a neutral cafe, and he looked like he'd aged a decade. He tried to apologize and explain that Chloe had manipulated him while I was sick, telling him lies about my past to make him doubt our marriage. He said he got confused and drunk. I told him that none of that mattered because he didn't trust me. After 2 years, he believed her words over my character. He told me he realized he destroyed the best thing in his life the moment I walked out. He asked if I was happy now, and I smiled, telling him I was happier than I ever thought possible. I left that cafe without any anger, just the knowledge that some doors have to stay shut. My talk with my family was even more intense. My mother eventually called for a one-on-one lunch. She looked tired and older. She finally apologized for all the years she didn't see the truth. She admitted she knew Chloe was difficult but thought that giving her more attention would change her. In the process, she neglected me because I seemed strong and capable of taking care of myself. She realized she had confused my strength with a lack of need for support. I cried as she told me she'd finally put the pieces together about Chloe's lies. She told me Chloe had moved away to start over in therapy and had sent word that she wasn't ready to apologize. I told my mother I wasn't ready to forgive her either. We agreed to try and be a better family, even if it takes time. A few weeks later, my father came over with flowers. He was never a man of many words, but he told me he liked Leo and that he was a good man. He apologized for not saying it sooner. Standing there with my father and then going back inside to Leo, I realized that the storm was finally over. Revenge gave me the justice I needed, but the life I built afterward gave me the love I deserved. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new interesting stories.